Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Monica and you are listening to The Rabbit Hole. The Rabbit Hole is a channel about going down really deep rabbit holes, having serious conversations, digging up anything you can find really on the internet or through communicating with people to kind of get a deeper feel for how things work and seeing different perspectives about things, whether it be towards your original thinking or towards another way of thinking. As you know, it really can just vary whenever you're looking for information. You can always find things that can confirm what you already believe in, or you can look at a different perspective to kind of see different ways of looking at something instead of what you already believe in. And that's what this channel is all about. It's all about channeling in on your inner detective. Now, in my astrology chart, and I will bring it up quite often, I do not have Scorpios, especially like strong Scorpio energy anywhere in my chart. It's more of just a seeking of knowledge in order to empower others. So in no way, shape, or form am I gonna withhold information from you or try to go deeper than is absolutely necessary, because let me tell you, when you go down a rabbit hole, it can get really deep and really dark. So I'll do my best not to take you down too much of the rabbit hole, but nonetheless, it's still gonna happen. So needless to say, let's go ahead and start on our YouTube journey. Hey guys, Monica here. Today's video, I am going to talk about my experience of losing my $5,000 ring. Not losing, but actually my ring being stolen by who I think actually stole it. And this happened about, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago. And to this day, I still carry on that lesson, because I've had things stolen from me before, but nothing as significant as more than a few $1,000s at one instant. And this lesson definitely stuck with me over these 8 or 9 years, and I still think about it, and I still go back to that same mentality. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that, okay, go ahead and steal from me because I'll be nonchalant about it. Instead, I'm saying that if someone steals from you, they probably needed it more than you did. And there's no point in holding on to negative feelings. There's no point in purposefully seeking out any acts of vengeance or any acts of harm towards that person, because they honestly might have just needed it more than you did. And that is a lesson that I had to learn whenever I got my ring stolen from me. So let's start the story by explaining kind of like the backstory. It was in Vegas, and I was staying at the Caesars Palace, and I decided to go to a spa located around Caesars Palace. I can't quite remember which one. The details are a little bit foggy, but I do remember going to a spa. As soon as I walk into the spa, I see this lady. She's a receptionist, and I'm talking to her, and I notice her eyes keep gazing towards my ring. At first, I didn't think much about it because a lot of people noticed my ring at that time, and I kind of just dismissed the thought. I go to my locker. She takes me there. I go to my locker, and I put my ring and all my belongings into a locker. Now, these lockers actually don't have locks on them, which was very surprising, and they weren't selling any locks, which is another really surprising factor. The only thing that brought me peace of mind was that I didn't see a single other client at that time in the facility, and that was the most comforting thought that I had with my belongings. And I hid my ring in a very discreet place. I think I put it in one of my pockets under a bunch of stuff. So even if somebody did dip their hands into my pocket, they would deliberately have to really feel around in there to look for the ring. I do remember doing that. And after I put all my stuff away, I leave to go to my provider. So I think I was getting a massage at that time. And when I'm done with my massage, obviously you're feeling really relaxed, you're really happy. And I went to go check on my possessions. Immediately, the first thing I check for is my ring. And Lord and behold, it was not there. And I felt this immediate pitfall in my stomach, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I was just so shocked, and I was in a state of panic. I started looking everywhere. I started crying a little bit because I'm an emotional creature. I'm a moon in Cancer. You'll hear me bring up astrology a lot in my channel. But yeah, I'm a moon in Cancer. So I just got really, really emotional. And so I go to the receptionist. I say, hey, can I speak to your manager? I'm talking to the same lady that I spoke to before I went to go get the massage. There's not a lot of faculty staff on deck at that time. There's the cleaning lady, which I saw when I came back from my services. And then there's a receptionist, and obviously there's a manager. There's only 2 people, not including myself, in the entire facility, besides the provider, which is in a whole nother wing. And I go to the receptionist, ask for the manager. The manager comes, and I tell her, my ring is missing. Like, I don't know where it is. And she says, oh, well, what do you think happened to it? And I think, and I blatantly say, not gonna sugarcoat anything, but I think it was the receptionist, because she helped me go to the locker. She knew where my locker was, and she stood around while I picked it out. And I know she knows which locker it was, because she was physically there in the room when I picked mine out. And there's no locks on the locker, like I already stated. So the evidence was just too much for me to dismiss. And the receptionist, she starts getting all the signs of someone who has just done something they weren't supposed to do, and we're about to lie about it. So she's got clammy hands, like you can see her fidgeting with her hands, and she's very jittery. She doesn't want to look anybody in the eye. And I tell the manager, I tell her, so I think it's the receptionist. Like, can you ask her if she stole it? And obviously, if you're gonna ask somebody if they stole something, do you really think that they're just gonna blatantly say, yes, I stole it? I have a $5,000 ring in my pocket right now, and I totally stole it. If you were put in their situation, do you think that you would come out with the straight truth? And your job is on the line, and you will get fired for stealing from a client if you said yes. 1% of you may say yes, and for that I commend you, and I absolutely love your type of person, your type of character. But for the other 99%, I highly doubt you're gonna say that you took it, especially if your livelihood is on the line. And so obviously the receptionist lied, and she said, no, I didn't take anything. And she didn't look anybody in the eye. And eye contact is really big with me, because body language is just as important as what you say. How you say it is just as important as if what you just said. So it just didn't make any sense to me. Why is she not making eye contact with me? And why isn't she defending herself a lot harder than she actually was? She just said no. That was it. She just said no. And the manager goes ahead, look at me, and says, well, she said she didn't take it, so there's nothing I can do about it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the premises. And I couldn't believe it. I literally was so shooken. If I was wearing boots, they would be shaky. And I walked away furious. And honestly, that was the worst customer service I have ever dealt with at a spa in Las Vegas. The whole experience was just terrible, minus the massage. The massage was great. The provider was great, but everything else just absolutely terrible. And then I think back at it, and I'm like, okay, well, now it makes sense why I was kind of the only person who was being serviced there at that time. But we won't get into that. There could be a lot of possibilities, a lot of factors, not just the fact that they have terrible customer service. I mean, it's just one of those things that you just look back on and you try to piece it together. That's kind of the thought process that I'm going through right now as we speak. Like, maybe it was a sign from the very beginning. I should have realized there's not a lot of people here, and that should have been my red flag, but I didn't take it as a red flag. I'm a very trustworthy person. It's a very big default of mine, because I believe that the world is filled with roses, petals, unicorns, and everything beautiful. And I'm a very trustworthy person, and I trust in humanity and for all of its good. And that is a default. It can be a default, because things like this definitely do happen. Now that I gave you the backstory, after a few hours after this has happened, I hang out with a bunch of friends. I tell them what happened, kind of share my story. And one of them gave me a piece of advice that is still stuck to me to this day. And it was, they probably needed it more than you did. And when that friend told me that, it stuck with me so hard that my mind started to unravel into all these different thoughts and perspective. And I thought to myself, they're probably right. Like, what is that ring gonna do for me except make me feel more confident, give me that boost that I need, that energy boost of like looking at, something on my hand that is just a bunch of stones, and I'm not gonna do anything with it except wear it, and that's great and all. But for the other person who stole it, they can be able to sell it and use that money to pay bills, pay their car note, pay their rent, get them food. If they have children, they can feed their children with the money that they get from stealing that ring. And that right there, that thought put my soul at ease, and it just made me feel actually better about the situation than worse. And I am forever grateful for my friend giving me that advice and making that statement, because now whenever I go through a situation where I feel like I'm being violated, because when you're stolen from, that's what you feel violated. You feel like your inner space, your possessions, are taken from you, and there's nothing you can do about it, especially if you can't get it back. Like, you just feel violated. And in that thought of they need it more than I do, that has brought me so much peace, knowing that I directly helped somebody even though I had to suffer, but not as much as they were suffering. Because if they were suffering not as much as I was, which wasn't that much, then they wouldn't have done it. But if they were suffering more than I was, then that would make them more inclined to do something like that. And I'm not a very real peacekeeping, individual who gets rowdy all the time, telling people about world peace and all of that. I'm not really that type of person. But if I can bring some type of value to another person, I feel like $1 million. So yes, I was stolen from, but do I feel bad or negative about it? Not really. I actually feel better. And I hope that ring, whoever stole it, is content with the results that they got from doing that. And if they had bad intentions, may karma come after you. But if they had good intentions, I'm glad that I was able to help, even if I don't know that person, and even if it was involuntary. I'm just very glad that I was able to help, because that ring would have done nothing for me. It would have been on my hand doing absolutely nothing for my hand. It would have made my hand any stronger or any quicker or anything physically advanced. It would have just been on my hand to make it look pretty. And and if it wasn't on my hand, I was just gonna sit in my closet in a bookshelf or something, or in a box collecting dust. It would have done nothing for me. So I'm glad. Now that is my perspective on being stolen from, and you may have a totally different perspective of how to look at things. And I would love to hear your side of how you would have dealt with something like that. And like I said, this was years and years. So let me know how you would have handled the experience, and if you have a different perspective or different advice on how I should have taken it, because that's what this channel is all about. It's all about going down the rabbit hole. It's all about the what if and the how so's and the how come and all of that. I want to know all your perspective, anything you have to offer. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button so other people find this video, and subscribe to my channel for more content, so that way we can go down these rabbit holes together, because there are many rabbit holes to go down on, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready for all of it. I mean, not all at once, because it can get pretty dark and can get pretty scary, but definitely want to go down as many as I can. So if you would love to text me your experience as well, I would love to hear from you. My information is 424-358-7799. You can text that number at any time, and we can go ahead and have a chat. Let's go ahead and end this video, and I will see you guys later. Thank you so much.